Welcome to Corporate Cafecito,
a Latin and business podcast where we share insights and strategies to help entrepreneurs and professionals thrive.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Corporate Cafecito. Yo soy Nayeli Suarez Guest, and I'm having a hard time saying my name. And back again is Michelle Martinez, who is joining us. And so when we first met, I asked her, I said, "Are you Latina?" And she's like, "Yeah, but I don't speak Spanish." I was like, why is she giving me this qualifier of I wasn't about to speak. I probably would have started speaking to you in Spanish, but you said tell us about that journey of being a non-Spanish speaking Latina.
Yes. Yeah. I grew up with my dad is Mexican, my mom is Midwestern. And since my father never learned Spanish because his parents, when they came from Mexico, didn't want any of him or his siblings to have accents. They thought it would give them an advantage. So he never learned Spanish. And then I was never taught it growing up. But everywhere I would go, people would approach me and just start speaking Spanish to me. Mm-hmm. And it, at the time when I was much younger, I felt like a deep shame, like I can't help them. I can't communicate with them. Like they're expecting something of me that I can't do. And it just turned into a big ball of shame, honestly. And I took some Spanish in high school and learned some of the basics, but the speaking it, I never felt comfortable with. And then, it wasn't until my first trip to Mexico as an adult that it only took about 3 or 4 days of being around all of the language and hearing it. And I was like starting to feel comfortable enough to speak it again, or just to speak it for the first time. And it's been something that's been deeply shameful, but you kind of pointing me out in a crowd and picking me out felt super validating, especially because when I'm usually out in spaces like that with friends who aren't Mexican, they're usually approached, or I'm usually not the one being approached. Yeah.
It was like, you're brown.
Yeah. I was like, someone likes me for that. It's not that I'm different. Yeah. Yeah.
I always talk about like there's a warmth that comes from seeing someone else who looks like you. Mm-hmm. And so, I saw you and I'm like, I'm pretty sure, I think she's Latina. And my husband would tell you that I go and talk to everybody. So I was like, I'm going to go talk to her. And I feel that we have as a community started shaming people for not knowing Spanish. My kids will say, well, we're no sabos. And I was like, no, you're not. You speak Spanish, speak it right. And, but we do have that like, oh, you don't speak it right. And now let me shame you for that, or you're not saying this the right way. And I think we should reward the effort put into speaking Spanish.
Yeah.
I grew up opposite, where my parents didn't let us speak English. So I did have a very thick accent when I was little. And when my parents were watching my older son, I was like, do not speak English to him. I do not want him to learn your English. But I think it's important, when we think about the things that are part of our culture, we have things like traditions and religion and language and food that bring us together. And so I hope, and that's why I wanted to ask you that question, because I hope there are not Latinas listening, watching us saying, I feel less than, or I don't feel like part of the community because I don't speak Spanish.
Yeah. It has been something. It's been a barrier, and I would say it goes both ways, because I also would actively try to hide and not put myself in situations where I might be approached or I might be asked to speak Spanish. And it's even something with my last name is Martinez, where there's also a big assumption with that as well, and everywhere I go. And it's interesting. An example I have is in college when I was applying for internships, and I really wanted to work at Intel, because Intel was like the top of the top company for engineering, and I applied to 50 different internships at Intel, and I got one. I only needed one, and I got one. But when my classmates found out about that, their first reaction was, oh, you got that because you're a woman and your last name is Martinez. And I didn't think of the question in the moment.
You're like, ¿qué?
But what I wanted to ask them was, well, how many internships did you apply for?
Yeah.
Like, that's like, and so that was one of the first, like, oh yeah, people do think I'm here because of a privilege that I don't feel like I have. I don't even, what I felt like speaking the language was such a huge competitive advantage. I didn't even have that. So I felt not white enough and not Mexican enough. And it was really interesting because the diversity and inclusion efforts that have really come about strongly in companies, that was interesting, where there was now groups in the companies that were organizing around culture, identities, around being a woman, about being Latina, around being all these other things. And that also sparked a lot of like, ooh, am I Mexican enough to join the Latina group? Like, are they gonna accept me? And funny enough, work was the reason I went to Mexico for the first time. And I remember getting off the plane and being in the airport, and just as we stepped out of the airport, being in around all of the Mexican people, and I was like, it was a feeling in my body that I'd never felt before. Like, kind of like all my edges were gone, and I was just in a community, and I'm like, this is how white people feel all the time. Is this how white people feel all the time in America? This is so great, being around all people who look like me. No one's second looking at me. I just fit in, and it was the best. It was intoxicating. It was such a great feeling. And that was one of the big like changers of like, okay, like I can belong here. I can be here. But it is still something I'm actively working on. And you connecting with you has been a huge lever for me to be less afraid. And a few weeks ago at work, I was at work, and all of the Hispanic women eat lunch together.
Oh,
and
yeah. You're telling me.
yeah, and I see them all the time, but either I was just too afraid. I'm like, oh no, they're never gonna let me. Like, they're not gonna accept me. But because of our meeting you, and you kind of showing me that I am Latina, I am Mexican, I ended up sitting at one of their table for lunch the other day and was immediately welcomed. And they asked me all of the questions, and it was just like, this is the community. This is what I've been missing out on because I've been so shamed and afraid. And there's really nothing to be afraid of.
No, there isn't. And when you join like the ERGs, they should be welcoming,
Yeah.
right? And I think that that's one of the things that we need to strive for in the ERG, that it should be a celebration of culture, not not a like
A
who is
checkbox to
more,
fit in.
who
Yeah.
is the most, right?
Yeah.
Because the comparison part, what was it? Comparison is the thief of joy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if we look for ways where we all belong to each other, that's going to make the ERG the most powerful, right? Like,
Yeah.
if we have Michelle, who doesn't speak Spanish, get into this position, she's still brown, she's still representing all of us. And when I see people getting awards or getting recognized, or reaching new levels, I'm like, yes, like that's that one of us represents all of us.
Yeah.
The hard part is, though, then we become the embodiment of a whole culture, which can be very hard to navigate in corporate America, to be like, because I am the Latina in the room, any multicultural questions are going to come my way. Do you find that?
I do, and I do welcome that, because I like that people think that I'm going to have this angle, that I might not actually have that perspective, because I didn't grow up traditionally Mexican. I actually grew up in a military upbringing, where military is its own ethnicity. We're kind of like, actually, I didn't even consider my race until after my family was out of the military, because you were just military or civilian. And then when I'm in Atlanta, Georgia is where I went to high school and first had civilian life, and it's super diverse there. And I went to a high school with ESL classes, and there's Asian, there's Indian, there's so many different cultures, and I loved it. But it immediately started to matter what you identified with, and I just have always liked being someone who can kind of navigate through all of those, and also speak up for people too. So I think it's almost a privilege in a way, when all eyes are on you, to really speak your truth and say the thing, even if it's not what they expected from you. It's like, oh yeah, if you think I have an opinion on this, I am gonna tell you my opinion on this, and be open about that. Yeah,
I love that perspective. I hadn't thought about it like that.
yeah,
I was just always thinking of like, okay, but not everyone is a Mexican female of this age,
yeah,
and
yeah,
so, but
yeah.
to your point, if they think we have an opinion, we should share it.
Yeah, yeah. And like you're saying, the cross what's the word for it? Like the different identities of
Hmm.
being of this age and this color and this background and this history. Even if you take two Mexican women, I am a twin. I have a twin sister.
What?
Yes. I have a twin sister, and even if you took us side by side, the identities and the way that we formed our thinking is so different.
Hmm.
And so it's like the more comfortable I've been getting in speaking with Mexicans and Latinos and just being like claiming I am Mexican. I am Mexican. The more I've been doing that, the more it has felt empowering. And I realized there's no one Mexican archetype. Like I meet someone and they have these traditions, and I meet this person and they have these traditions,
Right.
and but we all like making our tortillas on the stove the same way, which I appreciate. I that's the most Mexican thing about me, I feel like, or a traditionally Mexican thing about me. But
You know what? When we're heating up tortillas, sometimes, I'll be like heating them up, but I have to eat the first one because like the smell hits me and I'm like, I
mm,
just need to eat this
yes,
one.
yeah, I know, I have to eat the food while I'm making the food. Yeah.
That was something my husband still can't understand. He'll be like, can you just wait till the food gets to the table? I'm like, I can't.
No, nope, nope, that is not gonna happen.
So as you're connecting with like your roots, do you have family in Mexico still? Do you know?
A lot of my family came up from Durango up through, I guess you would call it like Texas through Nevada to Wyoming and Utah, and they were spread out, super agricultural based,
Hmm.
working on ranches, working with horses, and there's the core group of my immediate family is still in Nevada, and yeah, I mean, we're all kind of spread out. We the things that bring us together these days seem to be like funerals and memorial
Yeah.
services to
Yeah.
kind of get the family
Funerals,
together.
weddings.
Yeah, yeah.
Someone told me recently it's hatch, match, and dispatch.
Hatch. Okay, new babies, match, marriage. Oh, oh okay. I get it.
And I was
Yes,
like, oh,
yes,
that's so true. That is when
yes.
we get together.
It is. It is. It is. Yeah, and the age group and the dynamic of my Mexican side of the family is, yeah, most everyone's had the kids that are going to have kids. The people, and what I really like about my family is we have a lot of women who have lived their own lives, built their own families, and been a little more non-traditional, and they're still going strong. Yeah.
I think that's what, being a Latina in the US has afforded us is the ability to not fit the norm.
Mhm.
Right. And I always think about my dad when we were growing up. He would say things like, well, you can't do that, that's not part of our culture and that's not who we are. And I was like, yeah, but we're not in our country and
Mm.
we're here in a different culture, so if we don't adapt to this culture, then we should have stayed home.
Yeah.
And so that was always my argument, because it's like, we're here, so let's do it. Like
Let's try it.
let's enjoy everything that's available
Yeah.
here, versus thinking like we do bring the things that we inherently have like woven into our DNAs, and like the food and the culture, the religion, the beliefs, our values. And I'm like, but if we're here and we could do this and it would be easier, like we should also embrace. And I think that, we talk about like ni de aquí ni de allá, like I'm not from here and I'm not from there. But now it's like, no, I'm de aquí and de allá. Like I'm from
Mm.
both
Yes, I'm
and I belong
everything.
everywhere. Which goes back to our belonging conversation we had earlier. And I feel that if you come here and you don't acculturate on the things that benefit you,
Mhm.
then we're not taking full advantage of the journey our parents or ancestors did.
Yeah, and not even just what benefits you, like what is exciting to you or what's
Right.
interesting to you. And I know my father, he's passed away, but he, as the oldest male in a Mexican Catholic family, he was going to be a priest, and he went to school to be a
Yes.
priest. And I think just about after 2 semesters, realized that was not for him, and found a new path, and that was so fascinating because his family, when he left the home, was like, go out and go love God, learn about the Bible, and live a good life.
Mm-hmm.
And but he ended up leaving the Catholic Church and developing different
You're like,
beliefs.
oh no.
And it was like, oh wait, we didn't mean it like
Yeah,
that. We didn't mean
too
that.
far. You took it too far.
And then he married a Midwestern white woman. What?
Yeah.
That was like, wow. Okay, yeah, he really did. And that's something that I miss him, and I wish he was alive. I do wonder what he would say about how much I've deviated from the path as well that he had kind of laid out for me. And I think about when I make choices about what I want to do, and I have great big ideas on transformation within organizations and culturally and behaviorally. And it's like, yeah, that's what my dad did. And that's what his grandfather and what his father did.
Mm-hmm.
Left Mexico, came across the river with a horse and nothing else, and started, actually ended up running a body shop, a car shop in Las Vegas on the strip, right off the strip there. And that was his path. And my dad did his, and now I'm doing mine. And we're all still Mexican.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Varying degrees, right? And
Yeah.
it's like, but still part of, like, still bound
Yeah.
by our culture, by
Yeah.
our, where, if we were all traced, we
Yeah.
would all go back there.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is very good. It's also very funny. So my husband is white, and uh in the, like, just how our relationship is, he has assimilated to our culture.
Mm.
So, he'll make like salsas, and my aunts will be like, "Oh, how'd you make this?" And blah, blah, and why did you put sesame seeds? He's like, "Well, in this state in Mexico, like, they use more sesame seeds and more this." And they're just fascinated. And I always appreciate that he tries.
Mm-hmm.
And he, I even got him like a plancha to make tacos on for Father's Day. Because I feel that it's important to, like, also welcome him into our culture, and my aunts and all my cousins have. So he's very much assimilated into our beliefs and our values, and things we do. And I found that to be just really beautiful.
Yeah.
Just how he's embraced it.
Yeah, and it's like you're sharing a part of your soul and history, and now it's becoming part of his.
Yeah.
And that's just how, yeah, I think that's
Now we
beautiful.
just have to get him to speak Spanish, because he knows it, he understands it. He just hasn't built up the courage to
Yeah.
share it.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you had advice for 10 years ago, Michelle, what would you tell her?
Oh, 10 years ago, Michelle. So she would be 30, and she would, that she doesn't need permission. So that I think the last 10 years I started asking for a lot of permission about, this is what I think I want to do.
Mhm.
This is how I want to live my life. These are the people I want to be around. And I'm glad I'm on the path I am, but I was asking for a lot of permission and getting people who don't understand exactly what I wanted, or I wasn't able to explain it in a way where they got it. And I realized it really was just in the past year or two that I can just do what I want to do. I
Yeah.
can go ahead. I like, in the workplace, I see gaps and things that need to be changed. And when I would ask my manager and ask his leader and ask all these people, like, do you see this gap? Do you see this thing that needs to be changed? And they would all agree and see it, but no one would do anything about it. And I'm like, oh, I just need to do the thing. I can do the thing. And I have been doing the thing. And this is how I've been able to kind of get my career going in a way that I wanted it to go. And this whole time I could have just been doing it instead of asking for permission. So yeah, Michelle, 10 years ago, you already have everything you need, and you can go ahead and just do the thing you want to do. You don't need to ask anyone for it. Yeah.
So I love, you always talk about, like, you have everything you need. The company has all the people we need. And when I started Elevar, that was my whole thing. Like, I never wanted to break someone down or break down a company to build it back up. I was like, no, we will start from here, and we will only go up.
Mm-hmm.
Because oftentimes I think that, like, step back to, like, redo or deconstruct, it's very hurtful.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Completely. You don't have to replace the old system. You just have to build a new one.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's 100%.
I like when you say, I'm like, oh yeah, you don't have to replace
Yeah,
the
you
old
don't have to.
system.
Yes, you just need to build a new one. And that's Michelle, you don't, 10 years ago, whoever you are, you don't actually need to, go backwards. Just start doing the thing you know is right. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, on that note,
Yeah.
we thank you for joining us again, and we look forward to seeing you on the next cafecito.